Hello everyone, welcome. I wanted to, hold on, there we go. I wanted to jump on. Hi everyone, welcome, happy Sunday or Monday, wherever you are watching this right now. It's good to be here with you guys. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. Yay! I have been called to show up as often as I can right now, just to hold new perspectives, higher perspectives, remembrances, reminders, techniques, ways to navigate this, all of what we're going through. So here I am live. I want to answer some questions and I want to give some perspective on how to navigate what's going on. So, hello, hello, hello. Okay, 2 messages came in right before I jumped on. And these are messages about how many of us may be navigating and feeling what's currently occurring on the earth plane. Whether you're going to the grocery store, or going to the yoga studio, or going to getting your coffee, or staying at home, whatever we're doing, right? We're all doing our own thing. And collectively, we're doing our thing together. So one of the first messages that popped in was how much people are feeling right now in ways that they don't necessarily want to feel. For instance, irritability, frustration, anger, fear, scarcity. Maybe you lost your job, right? And you're like, holy shit, when am I going to work again? Maybe you're anticipating losing your job. Oh my God, when am I going to, will I lose my job? How am I going to pay for things, right? Maybe you're noticing that things are closing all around you and you're like, holy shit, is Armageddon coming, right? It feels as if it's building, correct? And so when this happens on the external, what happens internally? We react to it and we feel that consciousness. So what's happening is you're feeling a consciousness that's external, and it's literally being digested into your body through your channel, and it's rattling consciousnesses that you probably don't feel very often, right? And it's uncontrollable, like there's no control. There's like this feeling of like, holy shit, like I can't necessarily control this external reality, this external world. And so the first message is continue to feel, continue to allow yourself to feel. However, this is really, really, really important piece. There is a completely higher timeline that is occurring right now. So let me explain this. And many of you already understand this, but I'm going to explain it anyway. I want you to imagine that humanity is walking along a path, and they're all, let's just say the majority, or let's just not even put numbers to it. Let's just say that this collective paradigm right now, this virus and the reactions and responses that it's the domino effect is going down a road together. They're all walking the road together, and it's a timeline. And when you're on that road, it builds, right? So the stories continue to build. The fear continues to build, regardless of whether that fear is actually physically in the human's life or not. Okay? So a lot of times with these paradigms, what starts to unravel is that fear starts to create a now moment that isn't real, right? And so it's basing it on some future now that may never actually unravel. But there's a preparation. So there's no now moment states. It's all future or past, right? And this timeline builds on itself. So it gets more intense and more intense. And the more the humans walking on that path focus on that path and focus on that fear, focus on this experience, right? It builds, it builds, it builds, okay? Now at the exact same time that timeline is moving along, right? And it's very real, we're all feeling it, we're all seeing it. There is a completely other, well, there's multiple timelines, but there is a completely other timeline that is available for all of us to literally turn our focus on and stand and begin to walk down. Simultaneously, this is the quantum field, simultaneously. So we, as the way showers, as the awakened ascending humans that are holding the higher frequencies, it is our duty to say, wow, that is a timeline. It's out of control. It's continuing to increase. It's all consciousness and energy that is building on top of each other. I am going to focus now on a completely different timeline. This timeline shows that humanity is waking up out of the fear of this virus. Humanity is waking up out of the hoarding. Humanity is waking up out of sickness and lack, and all of the consciousnesses that are in that paradigm and in that timeline. And I'm going to hold this new timeline, right, that states and shows and experiences and holds health, vitality, joy, peace, love, light, right? All of that. The more we can focus on that timeline, believe it or not, the faster this can shift. That's our role. The faster this timeline can start to get pulled. It feels almost like the hardest job you'll ever do, because it is the hardest job you'll ever do. Being a light worker, way shower, starseed, the hardest job you'll ever do, because you can't physically see anything. You have to be energetic, right? So here you are standing in line, and you are watching all of the shelves disappear with food. And so you recognize that this mentality is compounding every day, right? It's getting worse, so to speak. First of all, recognize that's a timeline. That is an experience that humans are having. It is real. It is full of consciousness. It is full of emotion, thoughts, and beliefs. But it is not the only reality. It is not the only truth. It is not the only now. There is a timeline that I can jump over to that says, wow, I'm going to look at all that, but I'm holding in my body, I'm anchoring the remembrance and the knowingness that all is well. I'm anchoring that there is light and love and joy and peace and health right now, literally streaming down on humanity, streaming down on this earth plane at the exact same time that we are watching restaurants close, schools close, all these things happening in this timeline. When you start to shift, and a lot of people are talking about this, right? Shift your perspective. I'm just talking about this from a quantum perspective, right? Visualize that not only are you shifting your perspective, but you're actually understanding from a quantum space that this reality it's actually real. It's actually true. It's actually existing. So I can stand in my grocery store and I can teeter back and forth, and you want to stay in the body to feel everything, right? But I can teeter back and forth with, should I go get all this extra food like everybody else is, right? I feed into that for a moment, and then I say, no, I am good, I am safe, I am healthy, I am whole. It is my job to hold this knowingness around all of these other humans. They may not have chosen to drop into human form as a way shower, but I did. And I'm standing in line right now, and I have to embody what I came here to do. So there may be a nudge of me that's in that timeline that says, shit, Lori, you might starve for 6 days if you don't get extra food. And then I say, but I'm not in that timeline, Lori. I'm not in that timeline. I'm here. I'm here. I'm holding the higher timelines. I'm holding the higher realms. I'm holding the higher perspective. I've got to hold that. And I have huge amounts of love and compassion for everything that every human is going through, right? I watch how everyone's coming together and they're talking and they're enjoying each other as they're standing in line with their large grocery bags full of stuff, and I honor their journey, right? And I honor the fact that they didn't necessarily choose to play the same role that I chose, and that's okay. I still have to stand in line and hold the awareness of a completely separate timeline in the midst of my physical body feeling that timeline. Am I going to make money? Are my kids going to go to school? When are they going to go back to school? Are they ever going to go back to school? Am I ever going to go back to work? Right? All these things, are things going to continue to shut down? Whatever it may be that may be inundating the human mind right now, you may feel it, but then you choose. You choose, you choose, you choose, you choose. You choose. And you practice this. Because you're an energetic being, which means that you are in physicality, energetically navigating consciousness. And right now, you can feel a whole hell of a lot more than you probably felt 3 weeks ago. Because this tsunami of consciousness that is sweeping the earth plane is so dense, you can't not feel it, right? So we want to get our radar out, our energetic field out. We want to start to put those tentacles out, and we want to be holding and anchoring the higher frequencies as often as we can. As the tentacles go out and feel into these consciousnesses, we are also vibrating in the higher frequencies by holding that perspective of, oh, I'm going to walk this timeline instead. I'm choosing this timeline, which is all the beautiful, beautiful beings that are doing their best to hold the higher frequencies, hold that awareness, and we're walking that path. We're walking at the same time. These paths are walking together. One is in one frequency, one is in another. And it's not a battle, you guys. It's not a right, wrong, dark, light, right? It's not the dark fighting the light. You can see it that way, but then you're only standing in duality still, right? Or you can see it as options, opportunities, and choice. Because from a much bigger perspective, there's a lot of purging that is occurring in that massive tsunami right now. And if we can stay steadfast, head down, looking at the road that we're on, this timeline, and visualizing all the light workers and the star seeds and the grid keepers and the way showers and all of you beautiful humans that are informed, doing the freaking best you can to hold this, it's easier to navigate it. And then you start to play. You start to have fun. You start to find joy. You start to have laughter, right? And there's a lot of humans that are doing this right now. They're moving into joy and laughter and fun and those kinds of consciousnesses. And not walking the path of scarcity and fear and lack and that really intense consciousness that is almost impossible to not experience or feel in some way, shape, or form. Because again, we're all energy. And so it's really challenging to walk out there and not feel it. But it doesn't mean you choose to play in it, right? You make the choice. And if you're like me, it's quite an interesting, constant now moment of, wow, am I playing in it? Am I not playing in it? I kind of feel like I'm playing in it right now. Okay, well, what's the other choice you have? Oh yeah, this higher timeline. What does that higher timeline look like? That we're all okay. That everything's going to be okay. And the more I hold that, the faster this timeline can start to dissolve. We want to shift. We want to shift. We want to shift. Shift that perspective, right? And there's a multitude of timelines that we can choose based on the frequency. So you have to be vibrating at the frequency of that timeline in order to even believe that that timeline is there, right? So your body has to be holding the frequency of that timeline in order to even feel, see, experience, and walk it. But we're all walking it right now. Some of us may be walking it every now moment. Some of us may be walking it 5 minutes a day. Some of us may be walking it 3 hours a day, right? But we're all walking this new timeline. And by the way, as I've said in my other videos, this breaking down of really intense programming is only going to continue. So this is the beginning of our practice of being multidimensional, of standing in the quantum field, and of remembering and learning all over again how to be the higher realms in the midst of massive, dense consciousness. Visualize it all as energy, because that's all it is. So you've got a large tsunami cloud of fear that just swept over the entire earth plane. And we're trying to like swim out of it. Like, what the hell is going on here? Let me get my bearings, right? Let me feel my energy again. Let me come back to my sovereign field. Let me remember what's going on here, because just because there's a tsunami that just swiped over the entire earth plane doesn't mean I have to go with it. In fact, I'm the opposite. I've got to stand solid and firm as it shifts. As it kind of swoops through us, right? I got to stand strong and firm in my light. And I don't know about you guys, but this consciousness is intense. And it's very easy to get frustrated or irritable, scared, all these things that come up. So we want to have compassion for ourselves. We want to have compassion for the humans that are really playing in it, that are really buying into it, right? Because it's real. It's absolutely real. But it's also completely all perspective. Perhaps blown out of proportion times 1,000. It's all perspective, right? Shift your perspective. Step out of that timeline, please. Start walking the timeline that you are here to walk. What are you believing? What are you choosing to believe? Right? What are you choosing to believe? Because if you tap into your light, if you tap into your frequency, if you tap into who you are, that resonance will tell you the truth of your reality, the truth of your now. You'll listen to everything happening and you'll say, I don't think that's right. It doesn't resonate. And you can spiral into like, well, they're trying to control the humans or all these things that may be happening, right? But none of that matters. What matters is that you are holding this new timeline. That you are holding this. That's your job. And there's nothing wrong with preparing, right? And, the other part of all of this is that we have no control, meaning you surrender into everything. You surrender into this. And the scary piece about surrendering, if you've been doing this ascension work for a while, the scary thing about surrendering is you have to trust so deeply in your knowingness. I have to trust so deeply in that timeline. It's the scariest thing you'll ever do is surrender. Because you have to let go of trying to control anything other than the choice that you're going to make that's your reality, that's your truth, that's your knowingness, that's your now. And so in that surrendered space, you have to let go of trying to figure anything out, right? And you just drop. You let go. You stop trying to control. You stop trying to figure out. You start trying to manipulate. You start trying to prepare. And you deeply, deeply trust. I was literally standing in line and I was saying to my guides, because they were like, look at the other timeline. You're designed to stand on the other timeline. Because I'm looking around and there's like 75 people in line at this health food store, right? And all I have are my juice and my food for tonight, maybe tomorrow, right? And I'm talking to my guides and they're showing me the very distinct timelines. And I said, I got it. I'm holding that timeline. I said, but what happens if I don't have any food? What happens if I run out of food? Am I going to run out of food? And they laughed. I could hear them kind of like, no, you're always taken care of. You don't need to know how this is going to unravel. And that is frightening, right? That's like, well, hold on, pause. I've been doing this long enough with my guides that I understand that that's true. But it's definitely nerve-wracking when that's the option they're giving me to think about and to be in and to stand in and to play in and to practice and to teach from, when there's a completely other timeline that is so massive that it is literally physically and visibly taking food off the shelves, right? So standing in the quantum field, holding a completely different timeline that the rest of humanity may not be creating with you, is deep surrender, deep trust, deep knowingness, and our jobs. It's not to say that you don't want to have food, okay? You don't have to go, you want food, okay? But the point is that tap into the consciousness that you're feeding. Can I trust that I'm taken care of? Can I trust that all is going to be well in the midst of this chaos? Can I trust that? Because when you step into abundance, when you step into the vibration, which is abundance is a consciousness, it's a frequency. Okay? Abundance isn't like receiving all kinds of money or receiving all kinds of stuff. It's a frequency. And when you step into the frequency of abundance, you never know how it's going to arrive because it's a frequency. And so by surrendering and opening to a frequency like abundance, you always know you're taken care of. This is no easy feat to do as a human, right? But the point is that when you start living in now moments over and over and over again, and you start surrendering to the higher self, your I am presence, and the guides and beings around you, you start to learn and practice standing in the vibration of abundance and letting go of control. But it takes practice, and that's not really the point of this message. The point of this message is, as you're standing in any now, can you look at the other timeline? Can you see the other timeline? And then watch yourself teeter back and forth, right? Because we're not perfect, and we're learning how to be multidimensional. We're learning what this means to be in the quantum field. But this is what it means. It means our perspective shifts. It means we hold love and compassion for all humans and all experiences, including the coronavirus, right? You hold love for it because there's much bigger reasons for it doing what it's doing right now. And we will see that in another now. Just like any chaos or traumatic event that you have in your life, right? It's always bringing you to the next highest version of you. Any trauma, any chaos, any tsunami of fear, anything that the collective is feeling and experiencing is bringing the collective to the next highest frequency that the collective can hold. That's the entire purpose of it from a much larger perspective, okay? But in the now moment, as the collective is experiencing it, it's not fun. It's uncomfortable. But so is any trauma or any pain or anything that you go through in your now moment, right? You're a microcosm to the macro. So you just visualize that right now the collective is purging. The collective is going through a massive trauma, so to speak, right? And it has to clear it, so it has to feel it, and we have to go through it step by step. When you experience a trauma, the trauma moves into the body. It has to eventually be cleared. In order to clear that trauma, because it was never cleared originally, because it was too painful, you have to feel every ounce of it out of you. You have to feel it, you have to see it, you have to recognize your behaviors, your beliefs, your thoughts around it. It becomes very real, and you feel it to its core, where you're almost like tasting it, and then it clears out. So the collective is going to continue to do this. The earth plane is going to continue to purge these very dense, very potent, very powerful consciousnesses. That is how the earth and the collective shift into the higher frequencies. You see, we've been doing it individually and collectively, but on a very small scale, right? Now it's stepping up. Now it's becoming a much larger scale, meaning that we are now recognizing, okay, this isn't just about me individually ascending and learning how to ascend. This is about me assisting the collective in ascending. And what does that mean? It means I have to help the collective shift frequencies. And what does that mean? It means I have to watch, holy shit, Armageddon happen out there and hold the higher frequencies in my body to remind the collective that this is where they're going. Right? It's like your guides holding the knowingness, or your higher self holding the knowingness for you as you were going through trauma or pain or whatever you were going through, right? When you're going through it, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm never going to get out of this. This is who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. This is so painful. I can't breathe. I can't eat. I can't talk. I can't do anything, right? And your higher self and your guides are like, dude, you are a rock star. You are rocking this. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. You're going to move out of it. So they're holding the higher frequencies for you, right? You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You, all is well, all is well, all is well, right? So guess what's happening right now? The collective is purging a really, really, really massive density, which it will continue to purge for years, because that's a really large consciousness that's going to need to be purged multiple times. But our job is to be the higher self for the collective. Our job is to be the guides for the collective and to say, all is well, you're going to be fine. All is well, you're going to be fine. All is well, you're going to be fine. How can we do that if we're playing in it, right? How can we remind them of that if we're in it as well? Right? Our higher selves and our guides, they don't jump in our trauma with us. They hold the higher version of us. They hold the higher perspective of us. Always. They're showing us where we're going. Guess what we're here to do? Show the collective where they're going. That's why we're on the goddamn earth plane. Excuse my language. That's why we're in physical form. Is to literally shift humanity, the consciousness on the earth plane. And right now, we are learning and exampling, being an example. Exampling is not a word. Being an example of how to do that. Right now, we are physically shifting the collective. Right now, we're shifting. And so we watch with that perspective. Bring it back to your own micro world. When I'm going through trauma, when I'm clearing density, when I'm clearing these things from my body, what does it feel like? It feels like, holy shit, Armageddon inside of me, right? But I know that I'm clearing it, and I know that I'm going to be okay, and I know that all is well. How do I know that? Because my higher self is telling me that. Because I know that I'm always shifting into higher frequencies. Because I know that whatever is coming up is only density that is asking to be cleared so that I can hold more light. Guess what? That's what's happening collectively. The collective has to purge this over and over and over again, however many times it needs. And you can dive into that collective that's being purged, right? You can dive into the minute aspect of it, what the coronavirus is, how it came here, why it came here, all the conspiracy theories. You can dive into that and really like swim in the kind of unraveling of what this is all about. Or you can look at it from a much larger perspective and say it's a massively large, dense consciousness that the planet is asking humanity to clear. Humanity is collectively clearing it by experiencing it acutely. Just look outside. And it's our role to hold this knowingness. It's our role to hold this remembrance. It's our role to stand in the beacon of light that we are here to be and to hold the other timeline. We are the guides. We are the higher self for the collective right now. And we are bringing them into the higher frequencies. And it takes baby steps. It takes doing over and over and over and over, which means that in 6 months, if there's another massive tsunami of some sort of event that happens, we don't say to ourselves, what the freak? We just had this. We just went through this. We got to do this again? Yes. Just a preparation? Yes. How many times did you have to clear density out of your physical form? How many times did you clear the same density? Some of us are still clearing the same density. Density is consciousness in a lower vibration than your physical form, right? So emotions, thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, ways of being, right, that don't resonate with you anymore, that are continuing to come up to clear. And if you've been doing it like I've been doing it, you've noticed, oh, the same shit's coming up again. Oh, here it is again. Oh, 6 months later, here it is again. I thought I cleared this. I thought I cleared this. The collective is going to be going through the same thing. And you, again, you can frame it however you want. Systems are going to fall, blah, blah, however you want to frame it. From a higher perspective, it's consciousness dissolving off the earth plane so that the collective can shift into higher frequencies. All choice, always choice. But there's more and more humans that are waking up. There's more and more humans that are standing on physicality or in physicality on the earth plane, holding this remembrance, holding this light, holding these frequencies, holding the new timeline. And when that happens, the collective shifts. The more we wake up, the more we hold the higher frequencies, the more we remember this, the more we look at the timelines and jump into them, the more we understand how this quantum space works, the more we understand all of this, the more we will be pulling the collective forward into the higher states. We are going to be assisting the collective into the next highest frequency. All those people at the grocery store, it's not their fault. They just can't feel it yet. They don't understand. It's not their fault. God bless them. Love them even more. They need more love, not less. They need more love right now, not less. They need more laughter and more joy, and they need to be reframed. They need to remember they're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. All is well. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. That's our job. That's our guides' jobs, right? That's our higher self's job. That's the I am presence job for us. So now we get to do it for the collective. Make sense? That's what's happening. And it's very, very challenging as a physicality, as a physical form, to not get swept up. Okay, so we have compassion for ourselves when we get swept up, but we are conscious now. And when you are conscious, you can recognize what you are vibrating at. You can recognize what you feel. You can recognize what you are playing in, and you can switch just like that. Boom, I'm back over here. Okay, great. And the more conscious you become, the more you observe from the higher perspective, the easier it is for you to shift. You don't play in it for very long, right? I was standing in line at the grocery store, and I was so aware of my now. I was such an observer of the whole experience that I was able to watch myself play in both. Do I go get more food? No, Lori, you don't. You're fine. Okay, but what if all the food runs out? All is well. You're going to be fine. You're not going to starve. You're not playing in that paradigm. You're not playing in that. Remember, you're holding the higher timelines. But what if? But your job is to hold the higher timelines. That's why you're in physicality. Look around you right now. Okay, I'm looking around. You see all these humans? Yeah, I see all the humans. They can't hold that knowingness yet. It's your job to hold it. But how do I know they even know that I'm holding it? They're not going to know you're holding it. It's a vibration. But is it even doing anything? Yes, it's a vibration. It's a frequency. It's a consciousness. You are assisting them. Just keep doing it. Okay, I'll keep doing it. And I go out with my bag of groceries, not participating in that timeline. This is the choice, and this is what we're here to do. So there you go. We are the higher selves. We are the guides for the collective right now, and we are reminding them that they are moving to higher frequencies. We are reminding them that they are shifting into higher aspects of their collective. Humanity is shifting into higher aspects, right? How many times have we heard this? How many times have we heard, oh, humanity is shifting into higher frequencies. Earth is shifting into higher frequencies. There's a new Earth, apparently, that everyone's going to be standing in. We're going to be the new Earth, blah, 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 right? Well, guess what? It's go time. This is it. This is consciousness collectively shifting into higher frequencies. And what it looks like is massive chaos. That's how consciousness shifts. That's how consciousness moves into higher frequencies. You first have to feel the density and watch the density be, holding the awareness of the higher frequencies while it's occurring. And eventually that consciousness will dissolve. And because it is so large, it will come up again in another now, but we continue to do what we are here to do with this new timeline, and we hold it. And believe it or not, consciousness starts to shift. It has been, but now it's getting real. Now there's hundreds of thousands of more awakened humans that are on board and ready to go. Right? You're all on board. You're all ready to go. You're all like, yes, this is why I'm here. I am doing this, right? Now you finally get to feel like, oh, now we get to go to work. I get it. Now this makes sense, right? It was not for nothing, all the work that you've been doing on yourself. It was not for nothing. This is it. Now you get to really be of service, right? And it's only going to continue. So, you might as well get used to this, because this is what you're going to be doing now. So it's really imperative to start to understand how consciousness and energy works in the quantum realm. and understanding timelines and understanding choice. It's not complicated, you guys. It's not complicated, right? You literally visualize two roads. One road is full of that consciousness. One road is full of a different consciousness, and I'm going to choose. And that means that I choose to feel that path, that timeline. I hold that timeline in my walking now, every moment of my walking day, right? I'm holding that. Any questions? Yeah, we have to practice this. We have to practice it over and over and over. Okay, you guys all know how to do this, by the way, because this is why you're in human form. So there's an aspect of you, the light being that you are, that knows everything I'm saying right now. It understands it. It remembers. It's like, oh my God, these are the exciting times. This is the time where we actually start to do what we came here to do. Really, like physically do it on a very tangible scale. I should say many of us are starting to. There have been many Lightworkers, Wayshowers, Starseeds that have already been doing so much massive work, right? But this is where we all get to come together and do it together, right? We're all doing it together in one now, which is super exciting. But you already know all of this. Everything I'm saying is nothing new to you. You know this. You understand this. So now you have to practice. The codes within you, these light codes are starting to turn on. Ding, 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 ding. Oh my God, right? I know. I know this. I know how to do this. Okay, this is practice. Off I go. Okay, holding a different timeline. Okay, recognizing how I'm feeling as I'm standing in line. Recognizing how I'm feeling. Feeling, by the way, is everything. Not feeling, I'm not talking about feeling emotions, I'm talking feeling energy is everything. The higher you vibrate, the higher you move in frequency, it's all about feeling your energy. That's how you navigate everything. You no longer are navigating from the mind. You're not navigating from thought and belief and understanding and logic and reason. You're understanding from frequency. All you care about is frequency. That's it. So I'm standing in line at the grocery store and I'm tapping into two completely separate frequencies as I'm standing there. And when I move into that frequency where the virus is and where all the pandemonia is, I start to fall into fear and lack and scarcity and shit. Do I need to go buy a whole, 16 bags full of food, right? And then it's like, oh no, look what I'm feeling. I'm energetically tapping into that timeline. I'm going to readjust. I'm going to move into that timeline. What does that timeline say again? Oh yeah, all is well. I'm okay. I'll be fine. I'm not going to starve. Everything's going to be okay. Very challenging though, because the larger collective consciousness is going to try to pull you in. It's so strong. It's so strong. It's like, I don't think so, Lori. You've lost your mind. No, I'm holding this damn timeline. I'm holding it. I'm not choosing to participate. Because that's why I'm here. Look around when you walk outside. You are assisting every human that you see. Think about that when you go outside. And when you watch what's going on in the world. And when you hear everybody talking about not shaking hands and not doing this and not doing that, right? Think about who you are. You're no better than them. That's not what I'm saying. But who are you in this experience right now? You're showing the way. You're standing in a different timeline. You're loving them. You're honoring them. You're hearing them. You're not telling them they're wrong. You're silently reminding them of a higher version of them that they are slowly stepping into. So I just got the message to upload this to YouTube. So I will be uploading this to YouTube. I will not be saving it on Instagram. Okay. There we go. That is all she wrote, you guys. I hope that was useful and helpful. Take care of yourselves in all of this, right? So you can still be watching this timeline. You can still be experiencing this timeline. You can still be watching people experience this timeline, and you can still hold the other timeline. You're not ignoring that timeline. You're not saying you're wrong. You're not saying that's not happening. No, 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 no. You're honoring it. You're watching it. You're experiencing it. You're feeling it. You're seeing it, and you're holding a different one. That's all. So if you have a family member that's sick, if you have kids that are sick, if you are watching people, respond or react to this, you honor them. You honor their experience. You honor all of that. But you hold in your own knowingness this other timeline. From another perspective, from a higher frequency, all is well. This is dissolving. All is well. This is dissolving. There is light and love and peace and health consuming this entire earth plane right now. Over and over and over and over again. I don't know about you, but there's been a massive shift in energy yesterday, right? And there is a lot of work being done from the higher realms that we can't see. A lot of work. There's a lot of light, high frequency light that is beaming down on the earth plane right now. A lot. But density is way more intense. It's way more, it's heavier, right? It's like a light sheet and a heavy blanket. What are you going to feel first? The freaking heavy blanket, until you throw the heavy blanket off and you let that light sheet lay all over you. Okay? So just know there's a massive amount of light flooding the earth plane right now. And we are getting assistance from many different realms right now. And we are not going to hell in a handbasket. And we are going to be okay. Because this is continuing. And we're shifting into higher frequencies. The collective is shifting into higher frequencies. The earth plane is shifting into higher frequencies. She already has. She already has. Thanks to all of you. So we're just in a past now moment. Playing it out. Hold that knowingness. Hold that knowingness. So this will be saved. I will put it up on my YouTube as soon as I get off. And everything is working out best case scenario. Exactly. And we are going to move this pretty fast. So it is going to end as quickly as it started, but it is going to get, it is a tornado, a domino effect, you know? It's like we need these reminders every day or every hour, right? That's how dense the consciousness is. And also remember, and a lot of teachers have been talking about this, but remember that stress and anxiety and fear and worry, those consciousnesses create illness. It creates dis-ease in the body. So the more we can not focus on it and not walk that timeline, the healthier we will be, actually, right? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, there's a virus, there's a virus, there's a virus. It's gonna get into your lungs. 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 And there's fear and worry and blah blah blah. And the next thing you know, people have this thing. If you just switch your perspective and just play in a higher realm, you hold yourself in more light. You allow yourself to not fall into that reality. You'll be healthy. So anyway, trying to figure out how long things last from guides, from higher dimensional beings is kind of funny because they don't live in time. They don't live in linear. So it's already done for them. Like this virus is already over for them, right? So I'll ask them like, well, how long? And they're like, oh, it came and went fast. And I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't help me because I'm linear. Can I get a little more? And they'll be like, well, maybe around a month. This should be over within the end of the month, right? Some sort of like energetic kind of conversation like that. But then it's always this, but it's up to you. It's up to humans, right? So they'll always give a time frame, but it always comes back to, but you humans have free will. So for them, it happened and it's over. For us, we are slowly moving through it. And so it all depends on how we stay focused on what we're here to do, and how we continue to allow that light to just flood and flood and flood and hold that knowingness, hold that knowingness, hold that knowingness. And again, there's so much assistance from the higher realms, regardless of what you see on the external. So much. That's why they want to connect with us now. That's why they want to connect with you now. They want to remind you so you don't get caught in the fear, right? Your family of light, your star family, your guides, the angelic realm, they all want to connect with you now more than ever, tangibly, to remind you that all is well, to remind you that you are well, to remind you that you're okay, to remind you that you are light and love, and this is why you're on the earth plane. It's like holding a little book that you can pull out every day and read. They want to remind you 24/7. That's why they had me get on today. That's why they're having me do that meditation on Tuesday afternoon, right? They were adamant that I do this meditation on Tuesday. Like, you have to do it. It's 24 hours. I was fighting with them. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to. You have to do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. Get it out. Do it, right? So it's this live guided journey I'm doing that's going to connect us to the beings around us. That's going to connect us to the messages and guidance that we're all receiving more and more and more. It's really important right now. All right, you guys. Did you get scared when you connect? Do you get scared? I do not get scared when I connect, but I've been connecting with them for a very long time. They're not, they're benevolent beings. They're beautiful beings. They're your family, right? So they're not scary, and they're not mean, and they're not infiltrating, and they don't do anything to you, and they don't take over your space. They don't move you places. They don't take you out of your body. They don't do any of that. They're benevolent, beautiful beings of light. Just think of like the most amazing grandfather you've ever had, or grandmother, right? The most beautiful, amazing, loving grandmother, and just visualize that as them, right? If you ask the question of, if there's fear around connecting with them, a lot of times it can be based on past lives that you've had, right? And a lot of us have had past lives, 3,000 years ago, where fourth dimensional beings and fourth dimensional races were on the earth plane and they infiltrated the human. And so we now assume that if we open to these higher dimensional beings, if we open to these ETs, if we open to these aliens, right, star beings, that it's going to be similar to the experiences we had with the fourth dimensional races and beings that we don't realize we had until we start remembering that we had them, 700 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, where they were literally infiltrating the human. But that's not happening, right? It's not happening. It's a completely different time now. It's a completely different frequency on the earth plane. It's a completely different frequency in the body. You're safe to open. You're safe to connect. They want to connect with you. Trust. 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 Try it. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being in your bodies. Thank you for courageously continuing to take one step in front of the other and trusting that everything you know to be your truth is your truth. Trusting and remembering that you are here on the earth plane to do the shifts that you are consciously seeing humanity go through and that you are going through. Trusting and remembering that you are here to shift the collective into the higher realms. That's what you're doing here, on top of everything else that you may be doing. Thank you. I love you. You're so loved. You're so guided. You're so watched. You're seen, whether you want to be or not. And I'll see you next time. Bye, you guys.